Well, good evening, everyone. It is 7:00 p.m. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our town board meeting on January 11th via Zoom. At this time, Madam Clerk, I ask you to do roll call.
Mayor Tripp?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Muber?
Here.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Goff?
Here.
Commissioner Langley?
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this Zoom meeting. Sorry that we cannot meet in person, but due to the surge of COVID, this is the safest way to have our meeting and moving forward. Is there anyone in the public on the Zoom would like to make a public comment? Anyone on the public like to make a comment? Here and there is none. Let's go in prayer, if you please. Please bow your heads. Lord, go in prayer tonight, giving thanks for the many gifts and grace you have given each one of us. We give prayer tonight, giving thanks for Mayor Pro Tem and his wife and the sickness they went through the last 4 to 5 weeks. We give thanks that you brought him back and brought him back to us and his family. So we're very grateful for that. We ask that you be with Commissioner Ross and her family as she lost a loved one dear to her mother. So we pray that you give her peace and touch her heart in a special way that only you can. And we're going to pray tonight, oh Lord, asking that you have mercy, mercy on our country. My goodness, we are, I don't know, just seems that we're just not doing the things that we should be doing. And there's a lot of conversation, a lot of communication, and it's definitely no unity. So we pray for unity. We pray that people come together with smart minds, cool heads, and bring our country together. And we pray for peace as we go from one transition of a president to another, that this country transition in a way that be pleasing to you. So we need your guidance and direction in doing that. And we continue to bless this town and the things we do, guide us and direct us that we may provide what your children in this town would need. And everything we do, we give you credit. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
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 The next is the pledge allegiance to the flag. So if you would, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we need approval of the agenda. Mr. Manager, any changes to the agenda?
Sir, Mr. Mayor.
Any change to the agenda, Mr. Manager?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
No, sir.
What's the approval? What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Commissioner Langley. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Okay. We just did public comments, so I'm sorry I moved ahead of things, but we just did. Anybody have any comments? Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, the next is presentation, proclamation designate January 2021 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Ayden, North Carolina. Mr. Manager, you got anything you want to introduce?
We have Miss Georgia Childs here with us, and I will let her briefly discuss that for us.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm joining by iPhone. I left my laptop at work and I work at the health department. So in the COVID hotline. So hopefully people are getting the things they need for COVID related issues right now. Vaccine and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you for having me this evening. I'm just going to quickly read the proclamation if that's okay, because it kind of explains everything rather than me explaining it and then reading it. Is that okay, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Okay. So whereas human trafficking involves the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, buying, or selling of human beings for their services of labor or commercial sex through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas human trafficking violates basic human rights and deprives victims of human dignity and freedom, victims are dehumanized and forced into modern day slavery. And whereas human trafficking is a growing global and national problem, with North Carolina being consistently ranked among the top 10 states for prevalence in human trafficking. And whereas it is imperative that we educate our communities, our young people, and our families to take an active interest in learning how to recognize the risks and resist predators who use coercion and threats to manipulate children as young as 12 into labor or sex trafficking. And whereas in recognition of the need for that education, the North Carolina General Assembly enacted legislation mandating that sex trafficking prevention and awareness information be included in the sexual health education curriculum. Whereas the North Carolina General Assembly enacted legislation in 2019 mandating that sex trafficking training be provided to all public school personnel. And whereas the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking seeks to eradicate human trafficking by empowering organizations and individuals through collaboration, leadership, and training. And whereas the Pitt County Sheriff's Office, the Pitt County Department of Social Services, Pitt County Schools, and many other organizations are active members of the Pitt County Coalition Against Human Trafficking. And whereas the town of Ayden is committed to protecting people vulnerable to human trafficking and taking action to end human trafficking through prevention, prosecution, and partnerships. At the end of this, it says, now therefore I, as in you, Mr. Mayor Stephen Tripp, do hereby proclaim January 2021 as Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month in Ayden and commend its observance to all citizens.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any question from the commissioners? What's the pleasure?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor of the motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
The motion passed, and so I will sign the resolution and proclaim that this month will be one of Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. So thank you, Georgia.
Thank you so much. Everybody stay safe. And if you have questions, y'all know where to find me at the health department.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The next three items are public hearing items, and we'll ask Stephen Smith to lead us through this process.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we do have, good evening, we do have three advertised public hearings tonight. Also wanted to point out that since we're holding this meeting via Zoom, we will have to wait at least 24 hours before making a decision on these items. And Scott, if you want to help me out with the clarification on that, but I think that's right. We've got to wait 24 hours to allow the public to submit written comments before we can actually take action.
That's correct. Because we're doing it online and because of the circumstances, you do need to wait 24 hours. So that's correct. So we'll just discuss it. And I guess we'll have to take formal action either probably at a later date, or maybe we can just probably provide guidance to the board that it'll be okay if there's no objection. We might need to just do it that way, but that's correct.
Okay.
We can recess until 24 hours after, but it's actually supposed to be after the close of the last public hearings. After it's closed, then we have to wait 24 hours after that.
Okay. Well, I think the recessing's fine. It's really up to the board and however they want to play it, but that all works.
Okay, thanks, Scott. The first public hearing you do have tonight is on an annexation request. And I'm gonna try and share my screen so you guys can see what we're looking at there. This is a request for a voluntary annexation of contiguous property submitted by Kenneth and Christy Smith. As you'll recall back, I think we started this process back in November. We did adopt a resolution directing the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency. In your December meeting, that was certified, and you also adopted a resolution at that time setting the public hearing for tonight. So tonight you would hold that public hearing and then typically consider the adoption of the annexation ordinance. However, as mentioned, we will have to wait that 24-hour period before taking action on that. This property, just wanted to show you kind of a boundary survey of this property, but it's located on NC Highway 102, just before the intersection with Ayden Golf Club Road. There's a little better view of that. And currently on the site under construction is a mini warehouse facility as well as the cottages at Swift Creek subdivision. So again, we are in the final steps of that. So we are to conduct that public hearing tonight and also seek consideration of the annexation ordinance. The ordinance was not in your packet, but I do believe those were emailed to you earlier this afternoon. And with that, for the public hearing, I will answer any questions you might have for me.
Any questions to the planner before we open the public hearing? Here, there is none. We will open up the public hearing. If you want to speak on this, please introduce who you are and your address. So with the public hearing is now officially open. Okay, here no response. We are going to close the public hearing, and then we'll vote on this later on, 24 hours later. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Next item.
Next item before you tonight is a zoning map amendment. It's one of two that were submitted by Colonial Acre Farms. The first request is a zoning map amendment to change the zoning from RA20 residential to R10 residential. This request contains approximately 42 acres at the northeast corner of Ayden Golf Club Road and NC 102. Property is currently surrounded by RA zoning to the north, south, and east, along with some R10 zoning to the east. Just an aerial photo of the subject property. Just as a reminder, the RA20 residential district is typically in those areas that does not have access to public water and public sewer. And again, R10 would be to provide lots with customary services on a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. This is a zoning map of the area. As you can see, there's a variety of zonings out there, primarily RA20 to the north and east. And then as you can see back across Ayden Golf Club Road, it is R10. Future land use map designation is low density residential with densities for single family homes in the range of 1 to 3 units per acre. Land use plan again does show low density. As you can see, there's some neighborhood mixed use and also some in-town neighborhood land use classifications in the vicinity. Staff has reviewed the application and find it is consistent with the town's land use plan and does recommend approval. And back at their November meeting, the planning board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the rezoning. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions to the planner? Steve, I have a question per se.
Sure.
The property, is it going to utilize our sewer?
Yes, that is the intent.
And
At some time in the future.
And do we have sewer out there for them to utilize? Do we have the line out there?
Though that will be part of the sewer line extension that we approved last year to service that area. But once it's installed, it'll be able to serve that area.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, this is another public hearing. So anybody who would like to speak in this public hearing, please tell us who you are, your name and your address. So now
excuse me,
yes.
I'm sorry. Ken Malpas, I'm here representing Kenneth Smith tonight, and
Okay.
be glad to answer any questions. Plan to develop it with 10,000 square foot lots and with public water and sewer, Eastern Pines water and town of Ayden sewer.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Any question to the developer? Anybody else like to speak during the public hearing? If not, we're going to close the public hearing, and this would be another matter we'll have to vote on 24 hours or down the road. So let's go to the next item.
Sure. And the last public hearing tonight, again, is a zoning map amendment also submitted by Colonial Acres Farm. This is a request for a zoning map amendment to change zoning from R10 residential to R8 residential. This request consists of approximately 45 acres of property located on NC 102 at Arrowhead Road. And this property is surrounded by RR zonings to the north, some conservation to the west, and then R10 to the south and to the east. Just an aerial view of that property. The one we just talked about is on the left-hand side of the screen at the intersection at NC 102 and Ayden Golf Club Road, all part of one tract of land owned by Mr. Smith. Again, just the difference in the zonings at R10, you're looking at minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, and your R8 zones drop those down to 8,000 square foot minimums. Again, the impetus there is that all those properties will have access to water and sewer. The future land use map, if you'll recall, for this property was recently changed to in-town neighborhood. The intent will be that once we get through these processes, that property, along with the other one in question, will be annexed into the town. But these are typically defined by small lot, single family developments with a mix of housing types. And as you can see, just again, the land use map showing the land uses in the area, a lot of in-town neighborhood, some low density residential, as well as some neighborhood mixed use classifications. Staff has reviewed this application and does find it consistent with the town's land use plan. And at their December meeting, the planning board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of this rezoning. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you.
Any questions to the planner from the board? This is another public hearing item. So at this time, we'll officially open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak on this item?
Ken Malpas again. This just gives us a chance to have some variety in the size of lots, because I mean, this is a big piece of parcel land that they have. And as Stephen said, it met the previous land use modifications. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any concerns about low lying areas as far as flooding next to that creek like that?
The area that we're getting zoned is all above the floodplain. Everything in the floodplain is in the conservation. That's why the line is so zigzagged on the left. None of the property that's getting zoned for development is in the floodplain at all.
Okay, thank you.
Right, yeah, as you recall, when we put that conservation zone in some years ago, that went on every property that had 100-year floodplain, and basically we prohibit residential or commercial development for that matter in the floodplain, so it should be well protected here.
And I guess this is zone issues, it's not the map, but the road going in between the property, is that something that will be addressed? I know there's a home back there.
Yeah, and we're in the process, or the owner of the property is in the process of working with DOT as well as the town to change the layout and location of that roadway, but again, continue to provide access to the property in the rear. And that's in the process now. I think it started the process at the county commissioner level back in December. There was a petition to abandon the current location of Arrowhead Road. And then as this property develops, when the roadways are built, it'll be reconfigured, but still gain or allow access to the property in the rear.
So that's a state Arrowhead Road. It's a state maintained road.
Currently, yes, sir.
Okay.
The idea is once this property is developed, that'll become a town maintained road.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any other public comments? Seeing there is none, we'll close the public hearing and then we will meet to vote on this again. So Sarah, how will we do that? What's your recommendation?
I recommend a recessed meeting because if we don't recess, we have to re-advertise and we have to re-advertise 48 hours in advance.
Okay.
We can recess until 7:20 tomorrow evening because that's the time that we just ended. And then we can vote on the 3 items in the public hearing and be done.
Okay, we'll talk about it at the end of the meeting and we'll put 7:20, have that conversation at that time. Okay, the next item is consent agenda. We got the minutes from December 14th, 2020 and approval of the 2021 towns meeting schedule. Any comments from the manager or the board? What's the pleasure?
Make motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gall and second by Commissioner Ross. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
So the consent item passed, so thank you. Now we're going to action items. Approval of resolution establishing standards for interconnecting small generator. And Mr. Manager, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, commissioners. As you recall, last month we had Electric Cities, who's on with us this evening, give us a presentation, Kathy Moyer, on standards for small or larger platform generators and battery systems. And they're here tonight. What they've recommended, some of their other cities and several of them have, is adopting these standards for basically the protection and safety of those that are going this route and those that will be going this route, and just making sure that our system is intact and not compromised. And there's a resolution on that on page 48 that establishes those standards. But before we go there, I'd like to introduce Kathy again and see if she has any more comments. I'm sure the board has a few questions. Kathy, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have. But these interconnection standards are adopted so that you may safely operate your system and interconnect these smaller type of generators as they come online.
Is there any questions from the board in regards to this topic? Any questions?
No question.
And so Kathy, in regards to the interconnectivity of the small generator, I guess this is something that's templated by Electric Cities through all municipalities, and part of Electric Cities will use this type of format.
Yes, that is correct. It does take some adoption or some incorporation that you all can make it specific to the town of Ayden. But yes, it is based on the North Carolina interconnection standards for small generators. So there is templates that go along with it.
Okay. Is that something we're going to do, Mr. Manager, make it more template suited to the town of Ayden, or are we going to go with the Electric City's template?
I think their templates fits us just about as good as it can right now. They've looked at it, and there's, as far as I can tell, I think we're good to go. And Jason's also on the line too, and he's very versed with this as well.
And if we don't pass this resolution, what will be the outcome? What will be the consequence?
Well, I think the biggest consequence, and Electric Cities can answer this, is that we run the risk of something getting put on our system that could possibly backfeed into the system, cause us problems with load generation, and it would just allow for more of a rather free-for-all of those, connecting on. They'd have to follow the electrical code, but this way we can more safely determine what they can put on and what they can't, and to meet our system needs. And Jason, are you there? Maybe you can elaborate on that question a little bit better than I can. I tried to explain it, or Kathy, either one.
Hey, Mayor, this is Jason Thickpen. Yeah, so right now, I don't think Ayden really has anything in place that would allow a small customer to install solar panels, or allow a larger customer to install solar generation or even battery storage on their systems. So if you do nothing, I mean, there's really not a mechanism in place that would allow them to do that. But adopting these standards, like the city manager was saying, it does put protections in place that protects your system reliability, and make sure that there's a process in place that your customers can follow. So this is really just the first step. If you adopt these standards, you're taking the first step into establishing a program where customers may want to install small solar on their houses, and then you can adopt a rate or a tariff to put in place so that those customers can take advantage of that.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
I have one. What kind of input have we gotten from our electric department as far as what we're trying to do here, or taking a look at here? Manager?
They've been involved. Keith Alligood has seen it, and he's reviewed it and thinks that we need some kind of standards in place. So they're supportive of it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that good, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was wondering, you said Keith Alligood. What about Keith Murphy? Had they have the same opinion on this?
They've discussed it together, so they do.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm good then. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? This is an action item for approval of the resolution. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to
Motion by
approve.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
second by
Commissioner Langley.
Commissioner Lane. Thank you. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross. Commissioner
Yes.
Ross. Thank you. Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Jason, Kathy. Thank you a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
The next is the North Carolina Legal Municipality Voting Delegate, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. As you see in your agenda packet, the town needs to appoint a voting delegate to the NC League of Municipalities legislative goal setting agenda. So they're asking one person be set aside or appointed to serve in that capacity that would vote later on in the year. I think it's December when they come together with their final list of their goal set of their goals. So the first step in the process is to identify your municipality's voting delegate.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Or any conversation, either one?
Well, prior to this, we had appointed our manager, Harold. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Manager, how do you feel about that position?
I'm fine with it. I would certainly seek the board's input as to, what our collective goal would be prior
Right.
to submitting anything. I wouldn't go rogue on you.
I know you wouldn't.
So I'm fine with serving in that capacity if it's the pleasure of the board.
I just want to say this is actually the vote for that is coming up is actually coming up this week. So this is for something they discussed this past December, and there's a vote coming up by the end of the week. And I believe they sent the information out, but I can send everything out once I receive it. But it is a vote that will be happening this week.
I make a motion that we appoint our town manager as a voting delegate for the North Carolina League of Municipal.
I second.
Commissioner Langley made the motion and Commissioner Davis seconded the motion. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is appointment appointment to the Ayden Planning Board. Mr. Manager or Sarah, either one.
Defer to you, Sarah. Go ahead.
Okay. So the planning board had 2 vacancies. Eric Todd, his seat expires in October, and he is not seeking reappointment. So that seat is vacant. And then Angela Smith has moved out of Ayden, so she resigned. So her unexpired seat is vacant at this time. So we did advertise. We got 2 applications. So we're recommending appointing George Snyder to fill a 3-year term that will expire in October of 2023, and Scott Cole to the unexpired term that expires in September of 2021. And both of their applications are attached for your review.
Sarah, I have a question.
Okay.
I mean, I see the applications that we have from both representatives, Mr. Cole and Mr. Snyder III. What do we do as a town, and what do we do as far as the administrative staff on venting applications? I mean, do we just look at the application? Do we do any kind of research on who we're, assigning to our boards, or what do we do?
Well, in this case, Stephen would look at the applications and make sure that they fit the criteria as far as living in the town limits or in the ETJ, whichever is required. And as far as everything else goes, as long as they meet that requirement, that would be up to you guys to determine if you want them on the board. We have advertised for this position for a few months now because we were advertising for another vacancy that we filled last month. And we only had 1 application for that one, which was a reappointment. And then we only received these 2. So it's not like we're getting several applications in. Every application that is eligible for reappointment that we've received is presented to you. And if there had been, several, we would let you guys decide, who to appoint based on the applications themselves. But since these were the only 2 that we received, that's why it was presented this way.
Okay, so the way I understand it, the answer to the question is no, nothing other than applications.
other than their eligibility as far as where they live.
Living in this, yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Any
I
other
have a question.
Mayor
I have
Pro
a
Tem?
question.
Okay.
Yes. Where was this advertised, and what papers or what outlets was this advertised, sir?
This was advertised on the website, the Facebook page, and in the Standard newspaper.
Okay, the next time we have something like this to come up to ensure that we have more of a balance here, I would like for you to send me a copy of the advertisement. And I think you've done that before, or one of the clerks have done that before. And then that way, because some of those venues, certain demographic don't indulge in that, like some other demographics, if you know what I mean. I want everybody, I want it, fully spread. And I can help out on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I have this one comment. I have not met Mr. Snyder, but I have met Scott Cole. He lives in the neighborhood in this area. And even as far as a year ago, he has expressed interest in being involved with the town and doing some public service. And he does teach here in Ayden. So I do know a little bit about him, not a lot, but I have at least met him and know who he is.
Mr. Snyder is, his son was an Eagle Scout and did a project for us. I think he did the project out there by, not Blunt Cemetery, but the other cemetery. He did that little bench and type thing. That was his son, who did that for us. And he lives on the corner of 3rd, right across the street from the Aydenville Baptist Church and right beside the street of First Baptist Church in the old Worthington's house. And so that's where he lives.
Mr. Mayor, and the board, and I have a note right here, believe it or not. And it reads, I would like to see applicants appear before the board for any questions and to introduce themselves. Doesn't have to be this way, but moving forward, particularly when we start meeting back downtown, I would just like for when people apply like this, that way they get an opportunity to introduce themselves to us, and if we have any questions, and I think we'll get these are probably great applicants, but I think we'll have an opportunity to get a surer fit, if that's the right word for us to complete the town, is so that we can move forward together, know who's who. I think that'll be a good thing.
I absolutely agree 100%. In the way to a certain extent, it's not an interview, but it is an interview. And, and for them to tell us their thoughts. I mean, all of us have to do that when we run for office, really.
That's right.
And they should do it very similar. That way we know. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Any other comments? So what's the pleasure of the board?
I move we accept.
Motion made, Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
Second by Commissioner Ross. In discussion. Okay, we're going to vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Okay, now we into information items, staff department reports. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You see the report that I have. I'd like to just comment on a few of them. One of the things we're really hoping to decide within the next month or so is a new IT company. To be quite frank with you, we really haven't had the results that we deserve and for the money that we're spending with the current company. And so we hope to bring on a new company here, like I said, within about 30 days. So we've interviewed with several of them, and we're just soliciting their bids now. We should start very soon meeting with the marketing and branding strategy committee. As you know, Mr. Mayor, that's something that Mallory, you and I, and we're going to bring the board up to speed on, has a lot to do with what we think of as the future vision for Ayden in terms of a marketing strategy or brand. And and bringing in the community is a good grassroots way of getting an idea what that looks like. So, or what it needs to look like. And we've considered a broad array of people that will be serving on this committee. And we're really excited about getting that started. Some of the major initiatives that we've got going on, we've created a new HR department, and Kimberly Rayner's doing a good job with that. We've revised and updated our personnel manual that'll be coming to you soon. We did an employee survey that I've asked that will be shared with each one of you to see where we're at with our strengths versus our weaknesses from an employee's perspective. Looking at a comprehensive wellness program. And one thing we're going to talk to you about as we move into the next budget year is a merit pay program. One of the things we've got going on here is within our pay and classification plan, we have some compression, we have some issues. So one of the ways to kind of move a little way out of that and help solve that is to have a merit pay program. And it's allowed in our personnel manual. It's just a matter of funding it. So that'll be something to be coming to you, and we'll put a number on what that looks like, what we think it costs annually in the next few months as we go through the budget get ready and do the budget process. The project with the gym renovation should be starting in the next week or two. It should take about 3 to 4 months to complete. So we're excited about that one. There's several other projects too, but in that area, hopefully soon the old AG building will be the new community center. I think the hardware store across the street, Mallory said, was sold, so they're going to do something with that. So, and maybe if we can get something going there in the pickle plant, that could be a renaissance for that area. That's kind of what we believe can happen there. Then the last, but it's certainly not least, I'd like for us, as we're coming up and thinking about the 22nd meeting, what I've asked the department heads to do is think critically about their departments and what are the 3 most important issues. Not necessarily tie price tags to those, but strategically thinking, what are their most important issues? What are their challenges in going forward? So we'll put together that list. It's in a PowerPoint format, and I'll ask you as board members to we'll discuss each one of those and talk about what matters most to you as board members and what you think is most important, strategically thinking and going ahead in the future. So that's what that meeting will look like. We'll talk more about it before Friday, but you'll have some materials in advance of that I want you to think about, and I also want you to think about your own strategic priorities and seeing how we can mesh those priorities with what the department head's priorities are. It's not always about buying a truck, but how we can use that truck better. For example, we're asking them to think a little bit more strategically here. And we have made some hires recently. We've filled, it was not filled for a long time, but just so you know, we have the mechanics position filled, and we also have the senior accounting technician position filled. And that's it for my report, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions to the manager about his report?
The IT company evaluations, and maybe I should say something to Commissioner Langley about this at another time, but it seems like I've heard a lot of negative feedback from the company that we're dealing with, and I'm wondering, then we have a sitting governing board member that is kind of on this level somewhat. I was wondering if we got any input from him. Maybe that's a conversation I need to have with Commissioner Langley and myself, but for the town of Ayden, as a progressive town, to be drugged through what I call the mud with these other people, certainly that's something that I'm not pleased about as a commissioner. I don't know how you other guys feel about it. I feel we got to step our game up if we're going to be who we can be coming up 2021, and not just this area, but some other areas too. We have the right people on board to do it, but these people, I'm really let down with the town for it to have taken this long when we got all these negative comments about it. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Goff.
Kind of along the this avenue, but a little bit different, is that there's a lot of complaints going around about Suddenlink in Greenville, is looking into talking with the Attorney General. And my question is this something that maybe we here in Ayden ought to add our voices to? We have a lot of our constituents that use that platform, and it maybe add a little more pressure to getting some of these companies to actually put out with what people are paying to receive.
Yeah, Commissioner Goff, I appreciate that. I had a conversation with the manager, in fact, for about 2 months ago in regards to this subject Suddenlink. And then just recently, he made contact with the manager in Washington. I think it's Washington and Tarboro. I can't think the other city who sent a letter to the Attorney General. And really, that's where it's going to have to change. The Attorney General is going to have to do it. And I agree totally with you that a cost analysis should be done compared to other cable companies to what we have, because I think it's, to me, from my personal opinion, it's higher than what I would expect from Spectrum or Warner or Time Warner or whatever they may be. But I'll tell you my concern about Suddenlink, and I don't want to get on soapbox because I've had a personal experience with Suddenlink in my home beginning in October, and it's taken 3 months for resolution. And I would say the customer service is very lacking, and that's has not to do with being the mayor of Ayden. It has to be a citizen who purchased that services. And so Mr. Manager, you can harp in, but looking to I agree with you, we need to send a letter to Attorney General too. So, Mr. Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree. The citizens here in Ayden need to have more options, and we need leverage. And I think join on board with the City of Washington, Greenville, and others that are looking in this direction, lobby for some more help.
I just know that it's a daily issue in this area. I lose service every single day. So my concern is not so much for me, but I mean, we have students that cannot meet in person and rely on internet service for their education. And so, we as a town or a voice for the town really need to advocate for our citizens.
Agreed.
And to that point, Mr. Commissioner Goff and the manager, I would love to see some type of resolution handed out before our next recess meeting so we can get this in the pipe work than waiting 4 weeks later.
I agree. We can do it, Mr. Mayor. We'll have something there for you in 24 hours.
Yeah, I think that we need to expedite, since Washington, Tarboro, I can't think the other city has done it. I think it's I completely agree with Commissioner Goff. We're not getting the service, and she's exactly right. Not only our adults, but also our seniors, people who rely on the internet like us today doing Zoom, but also people use it as a purchasing power. They don't have to get out and have things delivered to them. And then for information, we deserve better. We deserve better.
I agree. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I agree with you about the customer service. I fought with them for a year. And even at that time, at one point, they were supposed to reimburse some of the costs for lack of service. And then when it came down to actually applying it to my bill, they backed off and said they don't do that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I got a call today. I know Commissioner Goff is telling the truth because the lady that called me today sounds just like what Commissioner Goff said. And I said, well, with all of that, how do they stay in business? She said they stay in business because they're robbing people. My thing, I don't know whether they are or not because I'm not on Suddenlink, but my thing is, do we have other options? Where are our options if we have options than these people to be our service, cable service providers?
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, it's nice that my wife called you. I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
What they do is they don't have any competition, so they can charge what they want to charge. And
we got to get on top of this. We got to get on top of it.
I had to go. I got nasty with them.
We have contacted our attorney, Scott, to look into it if it's something that we can do far as. So back up. about 5 or 10 years ago, we had a franchise agreement with Suddenlink, which means we had franchise right that they be part of our community. And the legislature has changed now, and that right belongs to, I think, to the Attorney General. I believe it belongs in Washington. So the best way to get action is complain to our Attorney General and our legislators about it. So we need to send letters, we need to send a letter to Attorney General, but also our legislators who represent each one of us. So we'll do it. We'll have it in 24 hours.
I'd like to make a comment. I'm like you, Mayor. I've had Suddenlink in my home and my business for going on 18 years. The problem, quite honestly, I'm not making an excuse for Suddenlink because there is no excuse for them. But when Altice bought them, they basically got rid of, I don't know what percentage of employees, and went with contractors. And now even the contractors that they have that do the online support are not educated in the field to provide the support. So all the money that we in North Carolina, as well as Texas, wherever they service, is going to Europe, which they're doing very well with their infrastructure. I mean, they're well known in Europe, Altice, and they do a good job there. But in America, we're actually suffering in the infrastructure that Suddenlink was building, and they were doing a great job building up the networks and the infrastructure to provide great internet to everyone. That went away when Altice bought them. The infrastructure side went down. And if you would talk to any Suddenlink employee, you would find that they're not happy either. So this is something that a big corporation like Altice is just basically taking our money, and we're not getting the quality of service that we're paying for. We're being overcharged, and the quality of service is not there. So we need to really key in on that and make sure that but it's going to be a lot of states, I guess, going to have to come together and make this happen because they just aren't providing the quality. If you look at what you're paying for and what you're getting, you'll find that you're overpaying. You're not getting what you're paying for. And anybody could do that with a speed test from any computer in their home or business, and they'll see what they're paying for, they are not getting. So I think we really need to push this hard.
And if you don't pay them, they cut off your service. So then what leverage do we have?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, they are more in tune trying to sell the Altice product than they are the Suddenlink product. They won't convert to Altice. And so when you pick up the phone to call them, first thing you hear is about Altice, about selling your Altice and not about your service. So I think it's sad that we all have been through it. And it's sad that a lot of other citizens have been through it. So we just need to make a stance and stop it. So we'll do that. We'll send it to the right people and get it going and moving forward.
I have one other question too. When the manager mentioned that we had a senior accountant that was hired, what was the hire date on that, sir?
She started on the 5th of January.
Thank you.
She's got a strong background in municipal finance and several years, so she's going to be, I think, a strong asset for us.
Was that a position that was Mr. Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem? Wasn't that a position that was discussed in the past that was at one time a temporary position that suddenly became
Yes, sir. Indeed, it was. And I think Commissioner Ross was on board during that time. And how it, I can remember now that Steve Harrell, manager Steve Harrell, brought us some information one night that tried to justify us needing someone in that position, but I wasn't satisfied with it. And I think some other members wasn't satisfied with it. So that position, Commissioner Langley, was supposed to have been phased out. That's when we were having those financial problems. That position was. Where it is today and the reasoning for it, us still having it, is beyond me. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Comments?
Well, I will say this, and I do need to tell you that we're working very hard on the budget, and we had a deadline for the 31st of January. And this is the deadline that was moved back by the LGC due to COVID. We had some turnover in our office, but with finance director, but not making excuses. We're trying to meet that deadline. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to. So it's a situation where we may have a late audit.
What do we need to do not to have a late audit?
Get all the things into our auditor in time, and get them working as diligently as possible on it, which they're already doing.
So is it our problem or the auditor's problem?
It's our problem.
So we're lacking.
Still lacking.
But didn't we have that same problem last year?
I can't answer what happened last year, Commissioner Davis. I know that this year we have a new finance officer. We didn't have the other position we just spoke of wasn't filled for over 3 months. So it was left us shorthanded. And
Let me say this, as a sitting board member, I was on the board back then. And if I'm not, correct me, Mr. Mayor, if I'm wrong, when I think it was Chris Tucker and Adam Mitchell was our manager, I don't recall Chris Tucker having an assistant. And and if I recall correctly, during the time, Mr. Tucker was getting some awards. He was getting accolades from for the work that he did. What I can't sing, and I'm not into finance, and not trying to run into finance, none of that craziness. From a commissioner's position, our town used to do great with a manager and a finance officer. Mr. Mayor, tell me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
And then when we got this temporary position, which was supposed to be phased out, but I don't know what went down from then. I know it's costing the taxpayers is my bottom line.
What occurred, as y'all remember, was the fact that we changed computer system platforms. We were on one platform, then we went to the other platform. The platform that we were originally on was antiquated and really couldn't get updated. And we went to another platform. And what happened was they had to remap the GL accounts from the old platform to the current platform. And when they did that, that's when they needed help in doing that. Also, we had before our last financial director came in, we have a director that really was not caught up with the coding of certain bills and invoices to the right GL. And that's how come we had to bring in Melody from the county in to help guide us in getting that corrected. And in the process, we went to a new, Rob came in and we went to a new platform on our computer. And my understanding was once all the mapping of the GL counts were done correctly, then the only thing that was questionary then was taking invoice and mapping it to the right GL count. And then you should hit a button on the computer to spit all the information out. And I don't know because I've not been down there. My thoughts is the fact that we get behind posting these invoices and these receipts of cash into the computer, so it goes to GL count for it to be given to the auditors. Is that what happened?
That was some of it, Mr. Mayor. And, we have about 10 different projects going on right now, trying to understand where we were in the projects. And I think what happened is that, quite frankly, when Rob left, they didn't close out the end of the year. So there was a bunch of stuff that was just left, and Amy came in and she could speak to this more, but they hadn't finished the end of the year. And when they come in like August or September to kind of finalize that end of year, they realized that none of that had been done. And so there was a lot of catch up from closing out the end of the year and getting things balanced and reconciled before we can even submit the right numbers to our auditor. Because if we submit numbers to our auditor and they're no good, then the audit might as well not even happen, because you've got to get everything reconciled. You've got to get everything accounted for. And quite frankly, when she came here, it was somewhat of a mess. And we're almost caught up, but and now that we have another staff member, we're going to be able to stay caught up. But right now, it put us behind. And in retrospect, if I would have known about this, I would have brought in a contractor to get it cleaned up sooner. But I was not aware that we had that option. But what this is going to cost us is probably a late thing, which is very disappointing to me. I'm very, very disappointed about it because I thought we were going to be able to do this on time, and we still could. We still could, but it's looking less and less likely right now.
Any more questions, comments? Any other questions about the our department heads report? Anybody have a question about any one of those?
I have a question for Mallory.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little bit ignorant in this. Can you explain to me what Same Page Project is and a DORA program within your report?
The Adora program was the area beside the town hall that we were working on where we could use it on the weekends for a more permanent basis than coming to you each month. And it's kind of gone quiet right now, but that was for the local businesses to use the parking lot basically beside City Hall.
Okay.
The Adora is a Ayden downtown outdoor use.
Okay.
And that way it kind of aligned the liability and permission up where it wouldn't have to be a continuous problem for the board to approve everything.
Okay. And Same Page? What is that?
The Same Page.
Yeah.
Same Page Project.
The Same Page Project. It said working with Mideast on Same Page Project.
Oh, that was on a project that was based off the CDBG that we did. We're still talking about it. It's kind of in a hold pattern. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Trying to find more funds.
Okay, because some of the acronyms I wasn't too sure what those meant, so that's what I was asking.
Well, Mideast originally set up a Same Page as a computer system program. And they originally set this up where they could coordinate all their counties into the certain projects they were doing. And we meet twice a month and discuss how we input what goes on in each town and county and municipality. And that basically aligns everything up and keeps everyone on the same page. So and it's kind of normal right now. So you know.
Okay.
We were kind of searching for more funding to continue that, but I think they have it solved as of this point, but I can't verify that yet.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you. On number 5, you have that you're continuing to pursue new industry and expansion projects. Where are we at on that? Is it anything going on with your pursuit of new industry or the expansion projects? Where are we at with that?
Well, we originally started off in the beginning after all the COVID kind of settled down in the late summer. Carolina Catfish was looking to do an expansion. They're probably going to do it, but they're going to do it without our help. They're going through the Department of Agriculture. I think some of those things are on the board to be approved, but they're kind of at a stalemate right now. As far as the site assist with Electric Cities, we've identified several wonderful spots on the south end of town going towards Kingston that will make wonderful industrial parks, plus what we really don't have in North Carolina or in this area is a good train depot area. So we're working on that. We've had several companies, or one company that's moving to town. They should be open the end of January, somewhere into February, that are kind of a quasi manufacturing company. I think I mentioned it on my list. And we're moving buildings. You know, when I first came here, Steve Harold was the town manager. He identified 5 buildings that you all had dreams and hopes about. Number 1 was the IGA building, which it's moved. Nicole's doing a wonderful job on that. Number 2 was the restaurant building that was on the corner of 2nd and Lee Street that had been abandoned more or less. That building sold, has been completely revitalized. The restaurant is open there called Miracles.
Marvel.
Marvels.
Yeah, Marvels, I'm
The
sorry.
miracle of Marvel.
They're doing very well. The 3rd building was the hardware store across from the IGA store. It just sold. They were in there last week discussing how to change the appearance, and they started. Actually, the new owner has given them the permission to paint and do some other things. We're still looking for a tenant for it. The new owner thought he had something going on there. Didn't work out. We've been working on him since July, or with him. And of course, the 5th building is the bank building. And we're still, due to COVID and what's happened to our customers' family, we're just kind of in a holding pattern on that.
Now on the Quilt Lizzie opening, you're saying the first quarter, could you narrow that? Is that going to be narrowed down a little bit? Maybe February or?
I talked to her last week, and she's doing the best she can to get it open, hopefully before March 1. But she will not give me a time, which I really don't think she's in a position to give an exact time at this point. But she's close. If you've been in or around it, she's pretty close.
Thank you.
Any other questions about department heads?
I have a question for the planner. Is he still here?
Yeah.
Okay. Mallory pointed out several buildings that have been bought or buildings have been sold. Is it possible, do we have a current list of our vacant property registrations for our town that we should have? You do have that list of all the vacant properties and the ones that are registered?
Yes.
Okay, what status, can we discuss the status on the corner over here that Miss Webb owns that property? Do we know the status on that property?
Yes, we finally, back before Christmas, I want to say October, we actually served her with an administrative warrant because it took so long for her to respond. That got her attention. We were able to go in, do our inspections. She, I believe, had until mid-January to rectify those issues, which I need to talk to Wayne, but I haven't seen much activity over there. So next step in that process would be civil fines if she doesn't meet that plan of action.
The reason I asked that question is actually last week, all the stuff that they had a van pull up and they had pulled some stuff out and put it in the van. And then that was shortly thereafter that you got, the warrant was done, you guys went in. And last Friday, it looked like they were moving everything back in. I mean, the van was there and they were moving boxes back in again.
Right.
So I was just curious if we know where we're at on that.
Right. Yeah. No, we'll do our follow-up inspection once that time frame runs out, and then we'll proceed from there. But like I said, she was given, I want to say it was 90 days from when we met with her, so that would expire sometime in, it was either, I think it's the 15th of January was she had to meet those items. And if she's moving stuff back in, obviously that's not quite what we were looking for. So again, when we go back around to visit her, we'll move forward in our enforcement if she hasn't met that criteria.
Is it possible that, I don't know if it would be the procedure to do it, but is it possible for us to get a copy of the vacant properties? That way, if I have, for instance, I have people come in my location all the time, ask me about rentals.
Right.
And which I discussed the one across the street that was just the old Summerall building that was just purchased.
Right.
And I contacted them to get the rental rate.
Right.
But it would be helpful if we, like people, especially me being in town and open all the time, that I can point people in the right direction to talk to people if I know what property is available.
Right. Yes, we
But
can,
that
we
is
can work that
possible
up.
to get that?
Yes, we can work that up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for our department heads?
Mayor, Mayor,
Yes.
to Commissioner Langley, I have a list already that has the address and the open numbers of property that is for rent in downtown. I can send that to you in the morning, but understand I don't have the rates on this list.
Oh, no, that's fine. What I want though is I want a list of I want a list of what we formerly, we passed. I want a list of the vacant property register, people that are vacant properties that are also registered.
Okay.
Not registration list.
My property is just it's a list of all the property.
And they should be registered also. Yes, sir.
Well, okay.
Yeah, if they're empty, they're vacant, they don't pay any kind of fees, but if a property is for rent and vacant, it's supposed to be registered. If it's not being rented. Am I not correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Any other comments and questions to our department managers, our department team? Here now, we're going to go to board comments, and we'll start with Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I'm grateful that I'm through. I feel that I'm through this, and my wife, of this coronavirus thing. We checked out good with the doctors. We got retested last Wednesday and got the test on Friday, and everything came back negative. And I feel blessed because so many people have gone on or they have some symptoms that turned them into a different human being. So Audrey and I, we followed all the guidelines. The Pitt County Health Director, it got him too. So I don't really know what to say to anyone because I've been asked a lot of questions other than tell people to continue following the guidelines and pray. But I can tell you, I've never been that sick in my entire life. And I don't wish that on anyone. And I thank everybody for the kind acts of expressions. It means a lot. Be safe, stay prayed up, be safe. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Welcome back. Glad to have you, you and your wife. Commissioner Ross.
Yes, I would like to thank the town for the beautiful flower you sent when my mother passed, and also the police department for the lovely plant they sent, and for all your cards, your prayers. Continue to keep us in your prayers. It's been really tough right here at Christmas. We were hoping she would make it till Christmas, but she didn't quite make it. But to live 98 years with a very full life, she was a remarkable woman. She really was. And I guess everybody feels that way about their mother, but she was a very special lady. And we miss her a whole lot. And thank all of you so much for everything, and continue to pray for us.
We will, Commissioner Ross, and we love you and your family. So thank you for that. Commissioner Langley.
Well, it was good to see everybody. I mean, even though we're just looking at our picture on the computer, it was good to see everyone. Also, I want to wish everyone a belated Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I also like for us to, if we could, remember in our prayers, we lost one of our citizens in the ETJ, Maddie Burney, Maddie Cole Burney. She was my aunt. She passed away on Saturday, and the Burney family, I'm sure, are in the grief process now. But she passed away on Saturday, and she had been sick for a while and going to the doctor, but she was actually taken to the hospital, if I'm not mistaken, on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then she passed away on Saturday. So prayers for the Burney family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lang. We'll do that. I'm really sorry to hear that. So yeah, we will do that. Commissioner Goff.
I also just want to express my condolences, Commissioner Ross. Fortunately, I still have my mother, but I know losing a parent is very, very difficult. Also to Mayor Pro Tem, Ivory, my daughter, also came down with COVID. Now, she was more fortunate to only have cold-like symptoms, but she lives 500 miles away from me, so I could not be there with her or be close to her. So I understand what everybody's going through. And one of her best friends' mother succumbed to COVID after a month in the hospital. So I personally know of instances of people being sick and also passing from this horrible disease. So my wish to everyone in our town and in our community is please follow the guidelines, please stay safe, please stay well. It's important for all of us. And to say that I worry about our community is an understatement. I'm also very concerned about our country and what we're going through in this time of transition. So my prayer is that we can all come together and become a unified country, a unified community, and just send my prayers out for that. So thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Goff. Commissioner Davis.
I just want to thank everybody that joined in tonight. And I want to say to Mayor Pro Tem Milgram, man, it is sure good to see and hear from you again.
That's what a lot of people saying, Coach. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I want to take time out and echo what Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Goff, everyone's saying about the COVID and the virus that is more rampant than ever, and not only here but in our country. And the key is going to be the 3 W's: stay away 6 feet, wash your hands, and that type thing. That's going to be very important that we kind of wear a mask and just be safe distance from each other until the vaccination starts accumulating and starts working in people's bodies, which, you know, is going to take some time, but the light is bright that that process has started. And as it starts and more people get vaccinated, then the virus cannot connect with someone. So that should help take it down per se. So I'm like Commissioner Goff and rest of you and Mayor Pro Tem, please, please, please do that. And, you know, it's disconcerting to me. It's very appreciative to me to go in stores to see people who are wearing masks. And then it's very disconcerting to me that's people who still go to our business and don't wear a mask. That's a governor's requirement for you to wear a mask. So please do that. I am concerned about the audit. So I hope the manager and our finance director and team gets that straightened out quickly. One of our key responsibility is, you know, I think to me is keeping the town safe, keep our citizens safe, and I think also being fiscal responsible. And so, you know, the audit is something that we get to check to make sure we are meeting that criteria. And it's one of the things that our citizens should hold us accountable in is that. And so I would encourage, I can understand the opportunities that we've had with change in manager and change in finance director, you know, that is understandable, but again, it's not understandable to take this long. So I would continue to encourage us to getting it straightened out and get it to us in a timely manner. So in regards to that. And finally, we need to recess this meeting to back to 7:20 as early as tomorrow, or we can do it another day. So what is the pleasure of the board in recess and get those 3 items voted on?
7:20 tomorrow is fine with me to get it out of the way, Mayor.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Davis, you second it.
Well, no, how about 7:30?
All right, 7:30. You good?
Yeah, 7:30 is best for me.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion? Everybody good with it?
7:30 shall be.
I'm good.
Mayor Pro Tem, you good with it?
Yes, sir. I'm good with it.
Commissioner
Yep.
Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
I'm good.
Okay, we'll recess until 7:30 tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night. Sarah, send out the Zoom thing again to everybody's email. That way we make sure we get connected.
Is it the same? Is it the same that we used tonight?
No, it will likely be another, it will have to be a new one. So
Okay.
Okay, send it to us and we'll use it. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.